This is now the third and last installment of the video discussions that we will have for the very first module in General Biology 1, which is all about life in a nutshell. On the first video presentation, we discussed here life, its definition, and the different characteristics of it. On the second video discussion, we discussed here the presence of the different theories and hypotheses regarding the origin of life, and at the same time, we considered abiogenesis and how it is debunked by different claims and different experimentations done by different early scientists. Now, on the third part of our discussion, we are going to focus on the cell theory. We are going to know and understand why the concept of cell will be very vital for our understanding of the discussions in General Biology 1. When it comes to the definition of cell, it is actually attributed with Robert Hooke. Robert Hooke gave us the term cell during the year 1666 with his observations utilizing his magnifying lens, and now which is known as the compound microscope. He published the book known as Micrographia, or Some Physiological Descriptions of Miniature Bodies Made by Magnifying Glasses, in which he illustrated here different samples, different parts, and different organisms. And this is actually one of the very first graphic books, which includes the different observations done by utilizing a magnifying glass. On his observation on the piece of cork, he observed here that this cork resembles empty rooms present in a monastery, hence the term cellula, or now the term cell. After the observations done by Robert Hooke, a lot of people actually utilized magnifying glass to observe more materials, more specimen, and more organisms. And this person, which is also known as Anthony van Leeuwenhoek, on some books or some sources, it is Anton von Leeuwenhoek. He is actually deemed as the father of microbiology. With this, he discovered and observed animal cues that are present on pond water. These animal cues resemble the movement of small animals that is only seen using magnifying lenses. These animal cues are also known now as the group of protists, or the kingdom Protista. Other than the observations done by Anthony van Leeuwenhoek using pond water, he also observed blood and even semen. And with his observations, the understanding regarding life that cannot be seen by our naked eye started to flourish. And with this, there are actually different people who considered now the concept of the cell theory. Now, what is the cell theory? The cell theory is actually the unifying theories that is related to the concept of the smallest unit of all life, which is the cell. The different proponents of the cell theory started with the duo of Matthias Jakob Schleiden, the one that is present here on the left, and Theodor Schwann. Schleiden is a botanist, while Theodor Schwann is a zoologist. And lastly, the presence of the pathologist known as Rudolf Karl Virchow. These personalities are actually the reason why the unifying concept of the cell theory will simply be utilized in our discussion on General Biology 1. So what are the different things that are stated by these personalities? Starting off with Matthias Jakob Schleiden during the year 1838. According to Schleiden, all plants are made out of cells. Since Matthias Schleiden is a botanist, then the following year, on 1839, from the zoologist Theodor Schwann, he stated that all animals are made of cells. And the unifying concept now of the cell theory came from Rudolf Virchow during the year 1855. Rudolf Virchow is actually a pathologist. And whenever we're talking about pathologists, he studied different types of diseases. And he observed that new cells can only emerge from two previous cells dividing because it's very evident to different patients possessing different types of diseases. Okay? After all the statements done and stated by Schleiden, Schwann, and Virchow, we can actually summarize them to the modern cell theory, which states the following. The first one, all living things are composed of cells. As stated on the definition of life, life is a regime that contains different materials. And cells, it's actually the regime or the body that's necessary for those different types of processes to be readily available. Now, the second one, cells are the basic unit of structure and function in living things. That is the reason why the smallest unit of life is cell. Okay? When it comes to this basic unit and structure, they are actually possessing here different mechanisms and they are possessing different functions in different organisms. And lastly, the third statement from the cell theory, new cells are produced from existing cells. Or statement, omnis cellula e cellula. And this terminology, omnis cellula e cellula, came from Rudolf Virchow because a cell cannot be created by other things other than a cell. A cell from a cell. A cell will be created by another cell through the process of regeneration, or also known as the cell division. So basically, that concludes our discussion for the very first module. I hope that every single one of you learned a lot in this video presentation and video discussions. So please answer the worksheet that is provided on the second to the last page of this module and follow the different instructions stated there. And also answer creating connections both for the second part and the third part of the video presentations. Answer the creating connections that is present on the second part, and here on the third part of your discussion on an available piece of paper or on different means as stated on the student syllabus. So if you have questions, please feel free to message me, and we're going to have consultation periods. Do not worry. So once again, thank you for listening and see you on the next module. Thank you.